In this video, we will discuss how to build color palettes for our characters, props, and effects. We can find our palettes in the color view. The top pane of the color view contains our palette list, and the bottom pane contains the color swatches for each palette we select. Color palettes are essential to maintaining color consistency for our animation from shot to shot, and also provides a very easy and flexible way to change or alter our colors. So we can start by creating a new palette by clicking on the plus and giving it a name. Palette type is color. If we hit the drop down box, there's pencil texture. We would click that if we were looking to make new textures for our pencils, but let's just stick with color and hit OK. Now if we made a mistake or if we change the name of something, we can still fix that by selecting our palette, go to the menu, click on palettes, and we can go to rename. I'll keep it the way it is. We can also delete the palette from our scene by going back to the menu again, going to palettes and hitting remove. We can also delete it by clicking the minus sign over here. So say we want to reuse a palette from another scene. If we were working remote freelance using Harmony Standalone on scenes that have been exported from Harmony server, we can choose to link to another scene's palette that came from that server's hierarchy. So when the scene is re-imported back into the database, the link will go back to the correct palette. And we can click on the link button located right here, it looks like a folder, and locate the desired palette and hitting OK. We can also choose to import a palette from another Harmony scene. This will make a new separate copy for the scene that we are working in. Any changes that we make to this imported palette will be for this scene only. The original palette will not be altered. So we do that by clicking the menu again. We go to palettes, we go to import, and then we navigate through our OS to find whatever Harmony scene we're looking for. And here I found one. So this is the folder structure of our Harmony scene, and each one has a folder called Palette Library. We double click that. I'll choose this one. It's giving me the option to rename it. I'm going to hit OK, just leave it as it is. And here are all the color swatches associated with my imported palette. Again, this is a copy for this local scene. If I change these colors, it will not affect the colors in the original palette. Okay, let's go back up to shapes again. So now that we have a palette, we can start adding colors to it, and we do that by clicking on the little plus down here in the lower half of our color view to add swatches. And we can change the swatch by double clicking it, which opens up our color picker. From here we can give it a name, so I'll call this red circle. We can change our view from hue saturation value or RGB by clicking in any of these. So red circle, we can make it red. And we can use a brush to draw a circle and fill it. Let's get rid of the outline. And moving down, we can change our alpha, which is our transparency. So we can control how much we see through our color. Moving down, we have solid and gradient. Solid is what is already set on. Gradient, we'll bring up the gradient slider, where if we click on this tab to the left, we can alter that value. We click on this tab to the right, we can change that value. We can add a tab by clicking in the middle somewhere and getting crazy and adding something crazy in there. And if we don't like it, we can just click and drag it away and it's gone. We can also make it linear or radial. We can alter how our gradient appears by going to the contour editor, holding it down, and going down to edit gradient texture. Oops. And we can move the center of our gradient, we can scale it down or squish it, or even rotate it if we want. Or we can even put it back to solid if we wanted to. So we can also add texture into our color swatches. Let's close this window. So there's a little plus with a T next to it. We click that, and now we can navigate to a file, a bitmap file. Here's something. So now I have a bitmap in here. So let's just grab our brush, and when I start to paint in here, it looks black, but when I let go, it renders the texture that's inside of it. What I'm essentially doing is kind of painting a window to the texture behind it. And in a very similar fashion, I can still use the edit gradient texture on that. Whoop. Ooh, it's huge. And we can manipulate it with these handles that zoom out. I must have made this texture huge, so we can scale it down, realign it, squish it, and zoom in a little bit. It made my texture pretty big. We can rotate it, what have you. And each texture that we paint is its own individual object that we can edit as such. The other thing that is important is that each color swatch that we create has its own color ID. So if I was to double click our swatch, once again our red circle, and if I wanted to say change this to blue, all I have to do is change it to blue, and anywhere in our scene where this color is used, it will automatically update. Very handy. So we can also delete swatches by clicking the minus button right here. And now if I do this one in particular, Harmony's going to say, hey, wait a second. The colors you're trying to delete are being used by some of the drawings you're editing. Do you want to do this anyway? And if I'm really adamant about it, I'll say yes. And Harmony's going to say, okay. But, so what it's going to do is, this red is now a placeholder. Just letting us know that we have to go back and recolor this. This has no color value whatsoever. So we can create a new color pot. We can call this blue, yellow circle. Make it yellow, and we have to recolor it. Ta-da! Another thing we can do is, with our characters, we often work with designers who may not be working inside of Harmony. They may be working in other software packages, creating our character designs and props. So one thing we can do is import an image, a bitmap image. Let's hide this layer. Let's create a new, I don't think I need to create a new layer. We can go to File, we can go to Import, and we can go to Images. And we can browse. Mine is on my desktop. We can double click it. I'm going to make this a single layer. I'm going to bring it in as a Toon Boom bitmap drawing. I'll keep it the actual size. And there is no alpha, I know for a fact, but we'll keep it as straight. And we'll hit OK. There's our image. So this is a bitmap image. So none of my vector tools will work on it. And so what we can do is, as you noticed, our color swatch is changed to the bitmap version. We can create a new palette. Girl in raincoat. Hit OK. And now what we can do is, every time we hit plus, we add a new palette, or a new swatch, excuse me, and there's an eyedropper here in the color picker. We can use that to drag and to drop. We'll sample whatever color it is, and we can name it here, raincoat. Hit plus again to create another swatch. Use our eyedropper, drag and drop. Name it skin tone. Hit our plus again, drag and drop, name it boots, and so on and so forth.